today we have Presto, who has decided that if the camera doesn't see him, he's not visible. So this is the first time he's ever, I've had him since he was a puppy. This is the first time he's ever acted weird. So we're going to see how this goes. He doesn't care about the diesel truck. He doesn't, you know, he's not worried about any of that kind of stuff. But for some reason, he's decided that the camera, he's not panicking, but he's like, I don't know about that thing. So
he was panicking earlier. He
he's starting
went to
to
the other side of the table, and he's like, I don't want, we let him smell the camera. That
yeah.
didn't really help. He's just not excited.
We're going to see how this goes today. Normally I make him lay down when I do his body and stuff, so maybe that'll help. But as you can see, if you zoom in a little bit closer, you can see that he's a hand strip. He's actually a show dog. I think he took his class at Eukanuba a couple years ago after I groomed him. The breeder did a little tweaky stuff, but in general, she said I'm doing a pretty good job. So so today we're going to demonstrate the hand stripping of a German Wirehair Pointer. He doesn't ever grow a whole lot of furnishings. I've plucked them out a few times, but this is just kind of him. I know some of them grow a lot of furnishings, but I kind of prefer the way he looks. But we're going to demonstrate how to strip ears and the face and the body, all of this flat work. And he really doesn't get any thinning shears except for around the edges of his feet because he is a show dog. So we strip pretty much everything, and you know, we won't show you an hour and a half of just stripping, but we're going to show you some different things in different segments and then show you what he looks like after he's done. What you'll notice is that all of these colors, after we strip this, all these colors will really pop, and maybe what we can do is one side and then video the other side done, and then we can show you what it looks like on the other side after you're done hand stripping. And part of the reason for that is that keeps a nice vibrant color. Now, something else I want to show you guys when I do hand stripping, for real hand stripping, there's combinations of it you can do for pet people, but for real hand stripping, what I do is I wrap the handle of my stripper in vet wrap, and additionally, because this is the one I use the most, I wrap the handle to give it some extra cushion, and it's really wide, so I cut it in half and I cut a little strip, and I put a lot of pressure on this finger when I use the stripper, so I just wrap my own finger.
It just thickens the handle by wrapping it.
And then with my thumb I use these little finger rubbers. I like the harder, like the beige colored ones. These are terrible. They just start to, they very quickly start to just rip apart.
Oh, they're not as heavy duty.
So these are usable, so I'm using them up. But what I do is I put that on my thumb because it's got these little grippers on there, and it helps me to grab the hair, because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, do it the other way around. But just try it, especially if you get blisters and such on your fingers when you're hand stripping, or when you're first starting out and you don't have any calluses yet. So the first thing we do, and he gets done pretty often, so he may not have a whole lot, is we use a classic. You can use a fine classic or any other. I think this is the fine, or they also have a coarse one. But basically what you want to do is you want to card out all of this coat. You want to card out and pull out all the dead stuff before you start stripping. And he usually doesn't have a whole lot because we do him pretty often. He gets a little bit more up here around his neck because he does wear a collar. He does agility and all kinds of stuff as well as being shown. So he tends to get like right in this area. You see where the hair is sticking up? See all that? That's where his collar sits, and that's also where he tends to get a whole lot of this. Good boy. And then down in here, he generally just doesn't, I mean, one good swipe and that's about all the undercoat I'm going to get out. It's okay, babe. See, I'm not really getting a whole lot. Now, some other breeds, you'll get as much as you get up here all the time. Like my Norfolk and my Norwich that we did the other day, he always has absolutely tons of undercoat. So it really depends on the breed. The German Wirehairs don't tend to have a whole ton of undercoat if they're done properly. And even just by doing this, see, now all the hair's laying down.
See that guy?
See that? There's a little ridge there, but most of it's all gone. Just by doing the carding, you can make that lay down. But on like wire foxes and all of that, you'll get a lot more undercoat than on these guys. And I've got pictures of him on my grooming table when he was like this big. So he's used to me. He literally jumps up on this table when he comes in. It's a really good trick, especially if you're doing a lot of hand stripping or you're doing a larger dog. If you do the opposite side, it's harder. So if you do your opposite side first and that makes you tired, then the right side is a breeze because it's easier. So I always do my left side first because I'm right-handed. And that's just kind of how I do it. Some people go across the dog. They do little strips this way when they're stripping, back and forth like this. But I prefer to do one side and the other and then down the middle, and that gives him a nice level top line. I'm done with my carding knife now because that was pretty much it. Yeah, not really any undercoat to speak of. So again, that's a longer process on other breeds that have more undercoat. You have to go over the whole entire dog. But it does a lot of your hand stripping for you too. So I'm gonna do his ear first. And really with these guys with their ears, they really just get like all this like fuzzy stuff like that. And you can either just pull that with your fingers. You can hold the ear nice and tight and just pull all those little fuzzies with your fingers and your vet wrap, or you can use a small detail knife. It's really up to you.
Try to get a different view where we can really see kind of what your hand's doing.
Always don't twist your wrist. Always grab the hair and just pull back towards your body. And go right next to the edge and just grab those little hairs. That's how you get edges of ears. Really gentle. Don't grab the ear, just grab the hair hanging off the edge of the ear. And you're always grabbing hair in front of where you're working, no matter where you're working. Always grabbing ear or skin or hair to keep the skin tight. And when you first start doing it, just go really slow. Plan for that dog to be there a while longer. Just go right along the edge and don't make it perfect. You know, if it's a pet person, just tell them, hey, you know what, we're going to work on this, and I haven't really done it before. This is how I got into it. You know, give me some extra time. And my other opinion is, maybe an unpopular opinion, but my other opinion is, if they're not getting stripped once a month, it's useless. There's no point. If you let a dog like this go too long, all of the hair grows out to be one length and you're going to end up stripping them bald. Now these guys are a little bit better about it just because of their coat, but wire fox terriers and schnauzers and those types of dogs, if they go longer than a month, they're blowing coat. And that means all of the coat is growing out and becoming one length instead of whole bunches of different little layers. And that's the goal. That's how you get this kind of coat, is to constantly work it and make whole bunches of different layers. You don't get layers on ears. That just really doesn't do. But as far as all the rest of his coat, let me see if I can find a light patch. You got the fuzzies that I just pulled out, and then you've got that little short one there, and then this one that's a little longer, and then that one that's a little longer, and then all the stuff on top that we're going to pull that's the longest.
Okay.
Were you able to get that?
I think that was pretty good. Let's do it from one more
Okay.
angle.
You're okay.
Okay,
You're all right.
buddy.
Let's see. So he gets done like every other 6 weeks, every 6 weeks or so. So if you look down really close, you got all these little short hairs, and then you got longer hair,
Oh, yeah.
and a longer hair, and a longer hair.
Oh.
So on his top
There it
coat, he's
goes.
got about 4 layers, and that's with him not being shown and me only stripping him about every 6 to 8 weeks, and that's because his coat is easy. My Norfolk, I do every month. My wire foxes, I do every month. You know, their coats, if you let them go that long, is just a disaster. You lose all your layers, and then you end up at some point either with hair that you can't pull because it's all soft and yucky, or you end up with a dog that's all one length and you start pulling and all of a sudden they're bald and the owners are freaking out. And that's because all of the hairs have grown out to that one length and they're all dying at the same time. So you start pulling and the dog starts balding.
Now that'll grow back in.
It'll grow back in, but pet people a lot of times don't quite understand that, and it really freaks them out because they don't want a bald dog. So then you're left with the dilemma of, okay, how much do I strip without making it look naked? And how do I get them to come back in again and get it so that it gets a few layers so we don't end up in this same problem again?
Because you need to do it regularly.
Have to do it regularly. And some people are just impossible. They don't want to do it. So then I start doing what I call a faux strip, which means that I card them out and then I clip her over top of it, and it makes them happy, and then, you know, the dog's not bald. But I tell them exactly what I'm doing. So if you're always grabbing hair and pulling it towards your body. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull his top skull, so I'm gonna grab hair this way, and I'm not hurting him. If I was hurting him, he'd tell me, trust me. But you want this top skull nice and flat, and you want it right behind this, to come right behind the brow bone.
Okay, show us one more time.
Right, you feel right here, there's a bone, and you want it, that's the eyebrow, or they just call it an accent. I don't even know if they call it an eyebrow. They don't have a big eyebrow like a schnauzer.
But you're actually
Just
talking
like
about
feel the bone right
here
behind the
where
eye. Yeah. So I strip from right behind the eye first.
Okay.
That way I don't dish this in or take this stuff out.
And you're just kind of using your fingers to pull the skin
Yep.
this direction.
That way I'm holding it tight and I'm not hurting him. And I'm pulling straight back how I want the coat to lay, or towards my body, depending upon what I'm doing. And then you want a little bit out from between the eyebrows. You don't want them to have a unibrow. So I just pull a little bit of this out in the middle, just to make it lay flat and give like a little indentation at the stop, because they don't really have a very real prominent stop. Okay, so we got nice flat top skull. And this area doesn't tend to get a lot of layers either. For some reason, the head and the ears, they don't tend to get a whole bunches of layers. Okay. And then when we'll do the side of the face over here. Okay. So you don't want all this big stuff sticking out on the corner of the eye, because you want to see their eye from the side for sure. And I'm just real gently, really all I'm doing is just plucking whatever will come really easy. I'm not going pulling stuff out that feels, if it feels like you're pulling it out of concrete, like it doesn't want to come out, then don't pull it. It's not ready. So I want to come right down the side of the cheek here, but I don't want to dish out under his eye and make him look like a raccoon. So we're going to follow this line right down the side. And then sometimes if this stuff under here gets kind of sore, you know, because that's a sensitive area, I will take the thinning shears to that a little bit. Shh, don't tell nobody. God forbid. But if it feels like it's irritating him, which he doesn't really care because he's been a show dog like his whole life, so it doesn't seem to really bother him a whole lot. Okay, bud. Good job. He's doing better now. He's not trying to hide quite so hard. he's just like, oh, okay, it's no big deal.
He's just walking around. He's not actually touching me with it. It's not touching me. It's not touching me. It's okay.
Yeah. That's the first time I've seen him be afraid of something, though, because he's usually, his temperament is really rock solid. He's just like a goofball and really sweet. And so you just, you know, just keep picking at it a little bit at a time. And now we're going to see if he'll lay down on camera for you guys like he usually does for me.
Okay. Do you need me to help you lay him down?
Nope.
You sure?
Yep.
He's over 10 pounds.
It's okay.
Okay.
I'm going to sit.
She's still in recovery.
Oh,
so
stop.
You can't let her.
All right, come on.
Can't let her pick anything heavy
Hey,
up.
Presto, down. Good boy. And then generally what I do is I just reach around him and I scoop his little legs up like this. Good boy. And we started practicing this when he was little, so this isn't something you can just generally take a brand new dog and do. We started practicing this as soon as he started coming for me to get all his grooming. We just started doing a little bit at a time, and as long as he would lay down, then I would strip. And then we'd get back up and then we'd have a piece of cheese. And then we'd do this, and then we'd lay back down again until he finally just went, oh, okay, and he laid down. And he doesn't care. So now what I'm doing is I'm doing the left side of his body because I'm right-handed, and it just makes my life easier to do the harder side. And then I go to the easier side, it actually feels like a relief. No, you're fine. He's not going to touch you. You're okay. Let's scooch over. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, you're okay. You're okay. Nope, you're fine. Let's do this like we usually do. Good boy. That's fine. So, you know, if they don't really want to do exactly what you want them to do for some reason, even dogs that are well trained, there's a new person in here with a camera in his face, and just stay very consistent and very patient. And now he's over here smelling the microphone thing because he's never seen that before. I just continue to do what I'm doing like, you know, like nothing's happening. That's the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, is they don't pretend like nothing's happening. They over baby them. Oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. That kind of thing. And all that really does is get them more upset. If you just continue with your routine and do it the same way every time, even something like this doesn't generally, you know, with a dog that has a good temperament, it doesn't generally bother them a whole lot. Even though he's a little nervous, he's not freaking out because he's with this Miss Yvonne and we're doing the same thing we always do. So he's stopped panting already, like he was panting a little bit ago. He's already stopped doing that. And now all we're doing is we're just grabbing top coat. Push with your thumb, pull with the knife. Push with your thumb, pull. That's what I'm doing. I'm just doing it so fast you can't see it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Push, pull, push, pull. And all you do is just grab the top stuff because you already took the bottom stuff out. You already did your carding, which is all the fuzzy undercoat you want gone. And now all you want is just to pull. All in rotation, you're just pulling, or even in pets, if you're just doing a little fake strip, all you're pulling is just this dead stuff that lays right on the top. And then all of a sudden, look at all those pretty colors popping out. And you can even go right along the edge and pull certain hairs and make your edge sharper between this color and that color.
Step around here and get you a little
It's
better
okay.
view of the
Stay.
side change.
Stay, Presto. Good boy. See, you can make a more defined line. See how that is as opposed to this?
See how the white's kind of spotted in there and the black's real crisp and clean on the side.
What I'm doing is I'm going right along the edge and just pulling those hairs that are dead right along the edge to define the edge. So, like if I was going to show him in a couple of weeks, I would do that. And that makes it nice and pretty and defined. And you can see the difference between here and here. See all that color popping out.
So it's less splattered.
Yep, it's more
Gotcha,
it's more defined because we're
all the way
pulling the
through.
dead stuff. And your goal is to not break coat, so don't twist your wrist. Don't do this.
Oh, hold on, let me get in close on
Do not do this. Elbow, wrist, straight.
that. Locked.
You will not get carpal tunnel syndrome if you are stripping correctly. You may get arthritis like me, but you will not get carpal tunnel from stripping. You might get a little tendonitis in your elbow, but you will not get carpal tunnel if you're stripping properly because you are
rotation of this.
you are not twisting your wrist. You're pulling straight and using your whole entire arm to pull. And he's starting to fall asleep like he usually does now. He's much more relaxed. Okay, but you can see the difference that I just made here. You know, all this stuff laying down nice. And you can get really particular and go in there and just pick each one. But we don't do that. But it is doable. If you really had, you know, where you wanted to make something look better, or for some reason it was a color splotch that made him look like he had no neck or something like that, and you wanted to fix it, you totally could. Okay, and no, this breed, no, sorry, I said the word, didn't I? I'm sorry. Stay. This breed does not have a skirt or even sometimes an underline. See, he has plenty of body, so I don't even really leave him much of an underline because he's very athletic. He does agility, and I don't know if she does something else with him, but I know she does it. I know Sue does agility with him. Hi, Sue. She does agility with her dogs, and he's also shown. And he's very high energy, so he's got plenty of muscle tone and plenty of body now that he's an adult. And I don't have to leave anything in these areas to bulk him out because he's already got plenty of it. And as you can see with this coat, it's actually, once you start getting into a rhythm and start working at it, it's actually really pretty easy to pull out the dead stuff. It's one of the things I like about this breed. Even though it's hand strip and it's a good bit of work, when I'm not filming him, I can have him fully done in about an hour. Because he's very cooperative like this, and because we don't have to do a lot of correction, and because he's got really good coat. And I try to work in sections as I go down here, and now I'm going back up here so I don't miss any sections as I go along.
Now, will you do all of him in the same day?
Yes,
Okay.
I will do every bit of him in the same day.
Okay, so she is done with one side.
This side.
She has stripped out this side.
Yep. I'm not quite
Take
done with the
you
top line
around.
yet, but I just want you to see what it looks like between the strip side and the side that's not stripped yet.
Around here. On the not stripped side, we're going to go up into the front here. Hopefully we get far enough back. Good view.
You see the difference in what it looks like.
Especially in the color patterns.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot more white in those. It's a lot more frilly and ruffly.
A lot, yeah.
Come
The
up
side
across
that
the
is done
top.
is crisp. And you can see how much coat's been taken out too.
And let's go in here. You know what? I'm gonna bring it in. If you'll move the coat kind of back, you can kind of see how thin it is.
We took out basically almost all of the top coat. And that'll be the new layer that'll grow underneath. And then
Nice.
next time this stuff will be the top coat.
I think that looks good, guys.
Okay, and then we'll do his tail. I'll show you how we do the tail because I get a lot of questions about how we do the tail.
Okay.
Basically, you do it just like the rest of it. You just try to keep a hold of it as tight as you can. And some dogs will let you. He's used to it, so he's not going to freak out about it because, again, I'm just keeping the skin on the tail as tight as possible with my other hand. I'm pinching it together or I'm pulling it forward, whichever is appropriate for the area that I'm working on.
So you're not actually just holding the tail,
No, I'm actually pulling skin and
making it tight.
trying to get it as tight as I can so I don't hurt him. And then do the bottom, same thing. Try not to wrench the tail upwards. Try to hold it out how it normally goes. And the butt area is always kind of hard to do, especially if they're well muscled, because there's not a lot to hang on to. So again, I only try to pull the dead stuff, and I try to do it as quick as I can, so that way I'm not hurting them. And then I go back and forth between there and another area. If it really irritates them, I'll move back up here. Do this a little bit. And then we'll go back again, and then we'll move. So just so you guys get the idea. So if you know it's a tender spot and it's annoying them, you do a little bit and then go back. But you can see this side compared to that side too. You can see how well muscled he is because he does agility and everything. You want to expose that whole thigh muscle all the way down this. He's a good boy. Yes, he is.
Presto.
Okay. You can see the other leg that I already did. You can see all the pretty color. So basically, you're just taking out the whole front.
1 second, actually.
Yeah.
I want to look at this shoulder, guys. I'm going to get you in there a little close.
Yep.
So I want you to see how nice and smooth that is. And if we go over to this other shoulder, I'm going to zoom you out again.
That's the stuff we're going to
This is
pluck
the
off.
second shoulder. And you can see just kind of how rough that is.
Yep. And then the front of the legs as well. And that's what I'm going to be working on next.
Okay.
You can see that leg
yeah,
was
you can see that
done.
really good.
See all the nice color popping out. Good boy.
So we're going to do those legs.
Yep.
Perfect.
And basically all you do is you'll just want to leave this stuff hanging off the back of the front leg. And so you do it just like you do anything else. You just start pulling all the dead stuff off the top, all the way down to the top of the foot. You can just watch that color just start to pop out as soon as you start taking all the dead stuff off. It's magic. Oh, right, Presto? It's magic. Nope, 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 nope. Let me have it. Give it back. Thank you. Ta-da! And that pretty color just popped right out.
Nice.
Okay, so now I'm going to do the other side of him. We're going to take a break. I'm going to do the other side of him because I'm sure you guys don't want to watch stripping for another 20 minutes. And then I'll use the thinning shears around the edges of his feet, and then we'll be done. Yep. Now we're done with most of the stripping. You can always find something else to pluck if you're crazy, kind of obsessive about it like I am. You can always find new things to pluck, but you have time limit and we're groomers, right? So done everything else by hand stripping, and then all I do is just go right around the outside edge with my thinning shears and just neaten that foot. Just take a little bit off the back of that back pad like you do when you're doing with regular scissors. And let it sit down. Just neaten it up. Look at those nice short toenails. I did those earlier. And just do the same thing. And right across the back. And do the other one. Just go right across the back if there's anything sticking out. And then just right around the outside edge. Just neaten the foot. It doesn't need to be perfect. They're supposed to be a little messy looking. Just trim right off the back like that. I like to do it with the thinners because it's just more natural. It doesn't look like you just chopped it off. And when you strip the top of the foot with the rest of the leg, you get that stuff to lay down too, so you don't have any sticky uppies on the front. And then I generally just check all of his furnishings, and if there's anything really crazy, longer than the other stuff, I just pull it with my fingers a little bit. Like so. And then sometimes, like if this is too crazy and I've already pulled the crap out of it, I do take the thinning shears to that just a little bit, just so it'll lay down. Because it's the cowlick spots. Like he doesn't grow a lot back here, but if this grows really heavy in here, you know, that stuff hurts getting pulled back there. So on some of the other ones she's had, I've trimmed this with thinning shears, but always do it after you strip some, till you think they're getting irritated, because then it keeps it still keeps the nice pretty color. But you can knock that down a little bit. It's not the end of the world. And then he does not get a bath, so as you can see, he's a little bit dirty. So I always recommend to everybody, even if you're bathing the dog, strip it first and then use some kind of an antibacterial soap if you're bathing, because you've opened up all of those pores. You can give them a skin infection. So I always say, if you're going to strip and bathe, make sure you strip first and then bathe in an antibacterial kind of, so chlorhexidine or something like that. Dirty hair strips easier. So if you try to strip clean hair, you're not going to get as much out, and it's going to be harder on you and harder on the dog. So this is Presto.
So strip dirty.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Presto.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. He's gonna give kisses.
It's so good. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Say, I did.
Yeah.
I did. Sit. Sit. Good. Sit.
Good boy.
That's a good boy. Yes, we found him. Yes. Yes. So that's your basic hand stripping of a German Wirehair Pointer. Please like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. Bye.